Good morning. Welcome back to those who watched the first stream. This is the second session now of the Guernsey stage of the PBA World Open Singles qualifier. On this rink, we have Ali Merrien, MBE, against Steve Noury, two local players. Ali obviously well known, Steve also a very good bowler in Guernsey. That's our match on rink 2. They're currently finishing the trial ends. During the last match, I was trying to give some of the scores across the rinks as we were going along. I'll just give you a bit of a recap on the last round. Ian Merrien was playing Connor Chamberlain on rink 1. He lost the tie break, so he loses 2-1 in terms of sets. Jamie Dakin, Josh Bonsall, Jamie won 2-1, having won the tie-break. Jack Wells, John Lynch. Jack Wells won 2-0. Stephen de Saint-Croix, Nicola Noury. Nicole won 2-0. Paul Lonsdale, Dan Delamere. They were on ring 5. Dan Delamere won 2-0. Robert Martin, Ben Harris. It looks as though Ben Harris won 1.5 sets to half set. They drew the first set, but the second set seems to have been 11-0, so Ben certainly took control in the second set.
It's a decent game. Where off my way. Well, I know you were putting woods in there. Yours is 2 feet.
So we can see Ali following her bowl up. She's playing with the green bowls. Steve playing with the white or whitish bowls. I think they've got some speckles in them.
Oh, there you go. Sneaky, right?
May not be a perfect bowl, but I'm sure Steve's happy he's got that one in to cut out the loose ones. Will Ali draw, or will she play a bit more adventurous? It's very early in the match. Just trying to draw in, just dropped a bit short.
Two, mate. You home? Yeah, home.
Steve didn't have too bad weight, just a bit tight. Both players should be familiar with this rink. Guernsey players played on this rink many times. That's a nice draw by Ali. So whilst we're showing Ali Merrien and Steve Noury on the other rinks, we have Sam King and David Anderson. We have Todd Prio versus Malcolm D'Souza. Malcolm's from Jersey, played on this green many times. And we have Thomas Warner and Danny Dennison on rink 6. Ali drawn in nicely again. Steve's wood's a bit spread, if I put it that way. He's probably just trying to rest the backwood, just a bit too heavy. for scoring again. 5 shots on the board in 2 ends. Another good start by Ali. Josh getting his chalk out. Just to add a bit to the pressure. Good response by Steve. That's not far off at all, but unfortunately when you're playing Ali, it needs to be spot on.
Last hole is 8 inches short.
So Josh just giving the distances there. Ali's bowl, which just sat back against Steve's, 8 inches short. Very close. Steve doesn't have much room to draw in. Unfortunately, he's just fallen a bit short. Ali's following a wood up. Just taken a bit of weight off there. She was nearly the right side of Steve's. Again, not far off with his draw there, Steve. On many an occasion, that would be good enough when you're playing, hoping to qualify for the World Singles Championships. You've got to expect, however, to be a bit closer. For your first match in the qualifier, I think that's a good start. In fact, for me, that would be a brilliant start. So Ali coming up on her forehand, going heavy. Steve looking at whether the woods are lined up. There is clearly an option there if he doesn't want to draw. I think the jack will squeeze out. So Steve was drawing, and look at that. Very good draw, but still one down. One to Ali. Now made her 6 shots up on the board after 3 ends. Another good start by Ali. Steve coming down on his forehand. Just a bit short. Ali a fraction short, but it's a good wood. Steve's still drawing on that side, so it's more awkward for him now. He does have room to draw around, and he is drawing around, but slightly overweight.
You hold 2. It's a flat shot.
Josh has confirmed to Ali that she's holding 2. I think he said her short bowl was a foot short. That's nothing at all in real terms in this sort of game. But she's improved on it. Put another wood in the head, putting Steve under more pressure yet. Steve looks to be reaching. He is, but just drifting by. So having seen that Steve is playing a reaching shot, let's see what Ali plays. Does she think he'll play it again and she'll put one behind, or is she just going to take a gamble and draw in? Bit of insurance is always helpful. Yes, she's playing it behind, just in case. Well, it looks as though Steve's still carrying some weight. Close to the head, close to the jack. Went through the gap, taken one out. Another 2 shots to Ali there. After 4 ends. These sets are only 7 ends each. So the pressure's already on Steve to try and recover. Looking across at the other rinks, on rink 1, where we have Sam King playing David Anderson, the score is 1-2 after 2 ends, so David Anderson in the lead. On rink 4, the umpire is just in action. I'll just wait for him to finish and then call that one. On rink 6, where we have Thomas Warner and Danny Dennison, both visitors to the island, we have a score of 2 shots to 6 after 5 ends. The umpire has just finished on rink 4, where we have Todd Prio and Malcolm D'Souza. The score there 2 shots to 7, so Malcolm increasing his lead. So we saw Ali walking up there to have a quick look at the head. She's obviously got what looks, well, I say obviously, 3 shots. Steve's 3 woods behind. He's got a wood to go. Ali will be wondering what to do, but insurance, as I said before, is always helpful. She has gone behind. She's covering the spot in case anything moves. Will Steve play a heavy wood? Looks as though he's reaching. He's not short, but just under the line. So 3 shots to Ali. Now, because that made 11-0 after 5 ends, with only 2 ends remaining, Steve could only score a maximum theoretical count of 8 shots, not enough to take the set. So they don't have to play the last ends of that set. Ali is therefore given that set, or awarded that set. She is now 1-0 up against Steve.
One down. You hold shot. Ali is 6 inches short, over.
Steve drawn in a beautiful wood right on the jack there. Made 2, is already holding 1. So in terms of the start of the second set, he's definitely come out. Ready and demonstrating his determination. Ali seems to be just slightly overreaching. She is caught her own bowl. She may not have the shot, but she's opened it up, given herself room, given herself options. Steve just touched the jack on his way through, but it's a nice backwood. Beats Ali's current backwood. Just touch her as well. But as we've seen with the shots before, there's plenty of room there for Ali. And her bowl is looking good, looking good. Fantastic. Steve looking at the head as he backs away, trying to work out what his options are. Fantastic try. Just bounced off Ali's wood there. That was so close. In fact, Ali's rolled out his wood.
Yeah. Is Yeah. You're one down with the last wood. There's a
I think you heard Steve say just about made it, fell in, just beat Ali's. Ali's now looking, wondering what shot. I imagine she's going to make sure she's up. She hit the wood, very unlucky. Just tipped it over rather than took it out. Now sitting behind her woods. Still gives her options, but Steve's still holding the one shot. So Ali was just pondering at the head there, thinking about the options and whether she might take the gamble. She's coming up on the backhand again. She is arriving. Will she pick up the jack? Oh, very unlucky. Just knocked it against Steve's wood and it stayed in place. One to Steve. So looking across the rinks again, we've got Todd and Malcolm D'Souza board is showing that Malcolm has taken the first set and they're playing the first end of the second set. On rink 6 we have Thomas Warner and Danny Dennison. Danny Dennison took the first set and it's 2 shots to 1 in the second set, so 2 shots to Thomas Warner, 1 to Danny Dennison.
Yeah, you wanna. This is 50 feet through.
We heard Josh there confirming that Steve was 1 up. Drawing in, if he falls in, fall. Reasonably close, but Ali had a quick look. She didn't spend too long, so she's obviously quite sure. Or just a fraction short. Umpires coming on. I think they haven't moved the first wood, and I think it's supporting the second wood. That will be part of the measure. So the umpire will be putting his wedges in place to ensure the wood doesn't move. But after her storming 11-0 start in the first set, the second set is a slight change. Steve is certainly drawing some woods in. Ali's drawing woods in as well, but Steve is getting closer, possibly as he's changed things around. So that was 1 shot, meaning Steve is now 3 shots up to 0 after the third end in the second set.
Last ball is bowl through jack high.
Very good response by Steve. Ali had a nice shot wood there already. Steve's drawn up. He did fall back, but it's close. Ali just dropped a fraction of way tonight. I mean a fraction. Steve perhaps just slightly overweight, drawing in or resting Ali's wood just behind would have been great. Ali's response, just that fraction through. Puts it in the middle of Steve's woods if the jack did move. Another shot. Steve's creeping ahead. 4 shots to 0 after 4 ends. Both players slightly drifted off there. Both slightly short so far. Steve trying to make sure he's reached, but has overdone it. Ali adjusting. Nice weight. Shot wood. Just caught her own bowl. She could have played it straight in, but she just caught a glancing blow. That's fine. Steve's adjusted again. It's a better bowl, but not the shot wood. I'm sure Ali wants the shot. Change the length, move it to something she's more comfortable with. Ali's drawn another one in. She's got the mat. Yeah, she's not wandered up the green as Steve has been doing, so it's a change. See where she puts the jack. Still room to draw on this end. Steve seems to have adjusted very well. Yes. You could tell as Ali was walking up there, she didn't particularly like that bowl. Unfortunately, not quite the result she wants. So Steve has secured another end. We'll see his preferred jack length now. Good start by Ali. And just to keep you up to date with scores across the rink, on rink 6, the match Thomas Warner, Danny Dennison has now concluded. Danny Dennison 2-0. First set 8-2, second set 9-2. Well, that little glance on Ali's own wood has put her back so that she's now resting against the jack, holding shot. I imagine Steve was happy with the backward there because Ali has the difficulty of trying to work out how to get a big score. She has 3 shots to Steve's 7 on the board after 6 ends, so even to draw the set she needs an amazing shot that's going to pull off a number of different requirements. Hasn't quite managed that. So we just saw Josh toss a coin as we're looking at a tie break. Good bowl by Steve. Just squeezed through the gap there, but still right next to the jack. Now Ali's gone just through. Josh has indicated Steve's holding, but Ali has a good position there. Steve just drifting through. Ali holding one. Should be looking to secure this end. Steve having taken the first tie-break end. An amazing bowl toucher. Steve looked to push that bowl. He's looking for the shot. Just glided past. Ali drawing back in. Would have thought it would have been a bit further back. Steve is likely to try and disturb it or move it a bit. He's coming up to have a look. Maybe he's worried the way the bowl and the jack lined up, it might come off Ali's bowl. That doesn't necessarily benefit him, but he's had a look now. I don't think it will be a straightforward draw. That would be extremely difficult. He's definitely coming up with weight. Just underneath. So Ali's holding the shot. Actually, he's holding more than one. See Josh, the marker, going up to the other end. Ali's not playing the last bowl. She's won that end. So a good start from Ali. Just behind the jack. Steve just a bit over. So you just heard Josh answering Ali. 8 inches through is the distance of her wood. Looking close again. Just in front, but two very good woods. Steve reaching, but just under the line. Left Ali still with her shots. Giving himself a different shot. 2 bowls now slightly behind. And Ali will be thinking, where might she cover, if at all, or is she going to block it? So there's a lot of pressure on this wood. Ali has covered the back. Steve is looking for it. Oh, there's a gap between the 2 woods. That was slightly unlucky. Leaves Ali with the end. And the winner of the tie break. So we're now going to close this stream. The next stream will be starting shortly, and hopefully you can join us again. Thank you.